the company he worked for offered me a half-time research job to move to Peru with our young children and lived there for 3 years. They were just rejigging the mineral tenure method. So 95, January 1st, it was open for staking again after a 6-month moratorium. So we were there then. So we did a lot of great research on project generation. But unfortunately, that junior company ran out of funds. And we decided we liked Peru enough. The kids were really happy there that we would just I'd put up my shingle as a consultant. And because of all my due diligence work, I was able to, a lot of Canadians were starting to come there. And we were able to work for 3 years. One of my clients, August 1st of 95, had me go look at a couple of properties in the Cordillera Blanca. The company's name was Arequipa Resources. And I looked at the project they were drilling, Peron, and looked at the next project they wanted to drill, which was also in Cordillera Blanca. There's two. In the field, their geologist, Freddie Wonke, said to me, well, this project's okay. We were discussing the merits of it. He was showing me alunite and things that he's very good at recognizing. And he said, well, this one's fine, but there's something over there in the other mountain range, Cordillera Negra, that I like much better. It's called Piarina. I named it after my daughter, so nobody will forget I had something to do with it. And by November, I kept talking to Catherine McLeod, the president, and asking her if I couldn't go to visit Piarina to do due diligence in case they were going to be raising money there. So in November, they allowed me to go do my property visit, and I liked it. I won't say I understood it all, but I certainly understood that things seemed to be very pervasive or disseminated, even grades. It wasn't just high-grade veins. And saw the vuggy silica, the native sulfur, and a lot of alunite. Came to Whistler in January, and 5 days later she phoned me and said, our stock's gone from $1 to $5. How fast can you write your report? We're doing a financing. And then by end of August '96, the company was sold to Barrick for $1 billion Canadian. And I was introducing Freddie Wonke to other Canadian juniors, thinking he might not want to be with a big company. And somebody said to me, you love Peru, you think that it has huge potential, you seem to know some good geologists, why don't you start your own company? And my first reaction was, thank you for having such confidence in me, but my children are too young, and it's a nice idea someday, but maybe later. Within 6 months, I did start talking to Freddie about it quite a bit, but within 6 months, we discussed again, and I think it was that. So we made some phone calls back to Canada to people I knew who had shell companies and knew how to take them public. And first person I phoned said, I'd love to be your CFO and I will write a check as big as you will write. And the next person I phoned was an investment advisor, John Wilson, who said the same thing. I'll give you some advice and I'll write a check. So I said, well, if we can get people to write checks, and we know how to take something public with experienced people, then yeah, we should do it. So we formed the company in Peru, got it all set up, got our geological exploration team, got Freddie all ready to go, and then agreed that I would be coming back to Peru once every 2 months to go in the field and make sure I was comfortable that we were all doing the right thing. Still be very involved with the exploration, but my job was going to be set up the company and make sure we were funded. So came back to Canada, and very fortunately, but because of the Arequipa sale and what was going on in Peru, we were able to find people with confidence enough to write us checks. So yes, very interestingly enough, you have to decide what commodities you believe in and what commodities you think you know how to look for. So you have to find your expertise, but also what you think long term is wanted by investors. We chose gold and silver, and we chose to explore the same way Piarina was discovered, which was satellite imagery, get on a horse and go out and check and staking what we liked. So we weren't putting, our CFO really wouldn't allow us to option properties with big payments coming up. We had to find our own stake for cheap and know we could wait till times would change and make our own discoveries. And one day Freddie phoned and said there's a copper porphyry that is coming on the block because Fujimori had left and the interim government was trying to keep encouraging foreign investment. He said, I think it will be very cheap to acquire because there's not that many people sort of sniffing around right now. And it's got 11 drill holes. They don't look very economic at today's copper prices, but there is some leachable copper, so what should we do about it? And I said, of course we're interested in copper. That's also a very good long-term commodity. And you, Freddie, have some, trained by David Lowell how to look for porphyry coppers. We know you're well trained. Spent the next 4 days with just throwing the data out at several people, and including who is now the president of Candente Copper, Sean Waller, was my good friend from university, and he had, after geology, become an engineer. So he looked at the data, didn't see any fatal flaws, but also highly recommended we get somebody in the field. When Freddie went to the auction, he said, how much can I offer? And I said, well, what's the minimum? He said, 75,000 US dollars. And I said, well, we have 125,000 in the bank. I got a phone call that we'd won the bid for $75,000. We had a month to pay it. And I did find people who offered me the money we needed to buy the copper. And I found them on my own because I spent some days in Europe just cold calling. So we did acquire Cañariaco. We also asked for an extra month extension, which the government gave us before we had to write the check. So we did get 2 months to do our due diligence. And then eventually we evolved the company that was Candente Resource Corp into 2 companies, Candente Copper Corp and Candente Gold. So we now have several various stage assets. Opportunities don't come by every day of your life, and you have to seize them when they are there. As we know, the cycles of our business, the being in the right place at the right time, meeting the right people, when a discovery is going to be made, being able to raise money, all these things are hard to, you can't put them all together when you want them. So, and then I had enough people around me encouraging me.